Everybody listen up. The X-Men are back. We discuss next on Impact Cartoons. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. As you can see, I have with me my boys here, Maul and Chuck. We've been waiting for this one for a while, so we're going to jump right into it. X-Men 97. X-Men are back, and as good, if not better, than before. So this for the top here. Episode 1, To Me, My X-Men. Maul, you can start off, Maul. Thoughts, just thoughts.
Well, one, I'm happy to see that Gambit and Jubilee are back in the scene. You know, we haven't heard from them in a while when the X-Men have moved on from '97. Yeah. And they were definitely two of my favorite characters. So I'm happy to see them back in the scene. Yeah, they did it right. They did it right. They picked right up where they left off. X-Men are back on point, and yeah, I mean, what can I say, man? You know, what can I say?
I hear you. We might say a lot because this is one that we were waiting for a while, and just texting you. I know you were super amped about some of these scenes.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna jump to Chuck real quick. Chuck, initial thoughts on watching that first episode of X-Men 97.
So what you gotta understand is 92. I've known these guys for so many years. 92 to 97 was the greatest times of our lives, right? Because we had this content, right, that was given to us. And then, so where we find ourselves now is the X-Men dealing with the challenges post Charles Xavier, right? That's where we find ourselves in the storyline. Beautiful job of tying in where we left off in 97, right back into the storyline. No missed beats, no gaps. Bo DeMaio, they get it. Kevin Feige, these guys are masters of storytelling. They fit right back in. Jamal said it best. We find ourselves in episode 1 falling in love with characters again who we may have forgotten about. If you're not a diehard, you may have forgotten about. Gambit, one of my top 5 all-time X-Men. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Welcome Back Morph, who was also one of my top 5 X-Men characters. So all these guys are tied in. Listen, this is getting a 9 out of 10 IMDb scores. It's for a reason. We're here.
I'm with you both. So it's called, the episode's called To Me, My X-Men. And the previous episode, if you folks want to watch here on Impact Cartoons, Moan and I talked about the original series. And one of the things that came up was the absolute hatchet job that happened, not in the series, but in the movies of Cyclops. So the series did Cyclops okay, but this series, they're redeeming themselves and putting Cyclops in that light that he should be. One of my all-time favorite X-Men, maybe probably top 2 for me between him and Cable. And like watching this, watching him do that. Everyone's talking about that superhero landing he did. Oh, he's blasting the ground and just lands and says, "To me, my X-Men." That was it for me. I was goosebumps, like all over.
So you like the storyline of Cyclops being the leader of the X-Men? You like that story arc?
Oh yeah, and not only that I like it, that's the way it's supposed to be. He was always a strong leader. He was a smart leader. He was always that kind of like Captain America type strategist in the books. And then there was a period there where he kind of went to the dark side and set up a black ops team that the main X-Men didn't know about. And for me and for millions of others, that solidified who Cyclops was. He was a guy who would do anything from Mutant Kind, but they made just the movies made him just such a weak and shallow character. And
Yeah.
this, I definitely love seeing what I'm seeing here with this.
That's see, I would pick up on that. I'm glad y'all brought up Cyclops because I personally think Cyclops is a punk. Of all the X-Men, I find him very clownish. You know what I mean? Like he he seems like that guy who wants to be the leader, but doesn't quite have the shoes to fit and is always looking for someone to validate him being in the position. That's what I've always gotten from Cyclops. Honestly, I've always felt like Jean is the leader, but
Mhm.
in a way where it's like I don't have time to be the leader, but when the role gets, when everything needs that leader in it, I step up, I do what I got to do, and I go back to being me.
You know,
So,
I really
but
quick, Dre, let me jump in there. I think the thing that I'm not the biggest fan of Cyclops, and I think it's based in the fact that he's one of the few that I remember that I've locked in on that has a love story that we're supposed to care about, right?
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I don't think of any other X-Men that has that. We know the relationship between Wolverine and Jean, but that was a relationship that never got off the ground, right? So we're not invested in that. So when we get this love story with Cyclops, we see a softer side of him, but we don't want our X-Men to be soft, right? And so that takes away from how I look at that character.
so so one of the
okay.
things that I'll just make a point here quick, Jamal. So one of the things about being Cyclops being soft, he's soft with Jean, not really anybody else. So again, this is why I think they're kind of correcting it here with 97, is because he came off as the Boy Scout, as kind of this guy who was just like, do it with yes sir or no sir. He wasn't that guy. Like he wasn't supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be a guy who, like, if Wolverine got out of a pocket, he blasted him. Like he was supposed to be that guy. And I think they're getting it a lot more right now in this than they did in the past. But go ahead, Paul. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna bring up. You said that Cyclops and Jean was the romance story of the X Men, and you're right. Um, but that's what I like about '97 is that we also get an understanding that there were other love stories that we didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
really touch on.
yeah.
For example, like Gambit and Jubilee, which they actually take
Rogue.
I mean Rogue. I'm
Rogue.
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, Rogue, who they like take a really hard look at as we go further in. I'm not going there now, but
Oh
as we
no,
go
we
further
can go
in,
into it right now because
no, no, no. I mean,
no, this is
talking
episode
about
one. We're talking
yeah,
episode one, right?
yeah,
That was
yeah,
episode one, where I don't think a lot of the casual fans realized that there was a thing there with Rogue and Magneto. Now we're gonna bring that to the action in a second, but I know, Jamal, you love this part. The
oh
fact
yeah,
that
oh yeah. I love that part. I love it.
that that Rogue and Magneto had this thing going on. But yeah, so what are your thoughts when you saw? What were you thinking when you saw, Rogue go into the office and her and Magneto start caressing each other, and Gambit's outside listening to what's going on.
Yes, God.
It is not made for children. What was happening
At,
in that room?
at first I felt like, wow, that's some like real grimy stuff right there. But then I had to take a hard look at it, right? And I said to myself, man, Rogue has never been able to actually physically touch somebody outside of Magneto. Now I'm thinking in my head like, okay, yeah, you can make something happen or whatever have you with Gambit, but that understanding that you guys can never actually physically touch is a problem. You know what I mean? But then here you got this Magneto coming in, and he's like, "Yo, you can touch me. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? It's and we've got that history. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know, it's Rogue. It's she's always had a complicated past, and like, she didn't come from the good side of the X-Men in the beginning. So yeah, it's a real complicated territory there.
So,
So
I have a question on this. And so it's going to expose my comic knowledge a little bit. So that's why I bring it to you guys. But before I do, I want to make a point that if love is hidden, it's wrong, right? And so when Rogue says, listen, what we used to have has to stay in the past, that immediately throws me a red flag that, oh man, this is drama. That this situation is toxic, right? So just leave it alone. So no, and then also I just told you I'm the biggest fan of Gambit, right? So now my guy is heartbroken and I hate it for him, right? Um, but this is the question I have for you guys. I want to throw it back to you, Dre. Is the ability? I guess I'm lost with why Rogue can have this hands-on relationship with Magneto. Is it because he's a level 5 Omega level? Is that what we're saying is his ability to be able to withstand that power?
Partly. So what it is that way Marvel has explained it is that he can cover himself in a very thin layer of a magnetic shield that allows her to touch his skin and not affect him. So she's really just touching just the base part of his skin, and so that was kind of the thing that made that possible. And if you ever got a chance to read any of the Age of Apocalypse stories from the '90s, they were a couple. Gambit was out of the picture, so they were a couple at that point. So it was like a long term thing. And Mole not being on this episode here, it's going to be heated. Honestly, these are his favorite characters: Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit. And I was curious to see what he was saying about his one of his second favorite X-Men character uh, being betrayed by his first favorite X-Men character.
Yeah.
But let's bring up to the story here a little bit of episode 1. So we got introduced to Roberto da Costa, who's playing a Jubilee part now. Roberto da Costa, again, I got to know this character as part of the New Mutant / X-Force books back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And just thoughts on like him and Bishop and kind of the newer characters coming in. Like, how you guys feeling that they're fitting at this point?
honestly, I didn't know that much about Roberto da Costa in the beginning. That he's a new character I didn't even think about. Like um Cable, I mean Bishop, yeah, that's my guy. Like he's always been somewhere along the scenes or whatever have you. Um I particularly love him right now in '97. I he summed up a age old question that I had about Cyclops and Jean's child, um, which I'm gonna hold on that right now. Go further later down into that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it. So I know that he plays a lot of different factors in the whole X-Men world because of his back and forth and his ability to jump through like different time zones and stuff like that. But again, back to Roberta, I really don't know that much about this guy. So if y'all can, y'all can elaborate a bit more on it.
Well,
Sure.
I think,
Go ahead,
and
John.
I don't have a vast knowledge of Roberto da Costa. I was doing a little bit of things online, and people were saying that he had the potential to be a level 5 Omega, threat, like we've been talking about a little bit here. Which is I'm always interested in those level of mutants. I always think they bring something to the story, so I'm here for that. Um, but but
What is his power? Like what's his power?
it's cosmic.
It almost. So what he does is he absorbs sunlight, like sun like radiation from the sun, and it makes him super strong, and it gives them the ability to fly and energy projection. So he is like Chuck was saying, he's I don't think they've categorized him as an Omega level mutant yet, but you can see he has the potential to be that, and later on down the road. And speaking of Omega level mutants, let's jump here to episode 2. Mutant Liberation begins.
Yeah.
So basically what we got with that was the trial of Magneto, which was another kind of a landmark story from back in the day. And one of the things, just really quick to point out, they've been squeezed into some of these longer story arcs into single episodes. So I'm just curious how it's going to play out as far as longevity goes for the show. But Omega mutants, Omega level mutants, Storm,
Oh,
the most Omega of Omega level mutants. Now we saw episode 1 what she could do when she really wants to, and she never really goes all out for obvious reasons to make sure she's to her peoples. But and you see what happened to her at the end of the trial. So thoughts, fellas, thoughts on what they did my girl wrote.
This is a tragedy. This is a tragedy. But if you're watching throughout the episode, you get a feeling something's coming. That's a credit to Bo and a credit to Kevin Feige, right? Because they're dropping little hints here and there, right? They're having these emotional conversations. Storm's talking about how I never had a thought about not being a mutant, right? They're giving you every Easter egg you could possibly want, leading you up to that moment. The fact that she saves Magneto, another piece that's really important, right? Like, because she's showing either A, she believes in Magneto, or probably the most likely of the two, she really believes in what Charles Xavier's vision was, and she knows the importance of keeping Magneto alive.
Yeah.
Mom, your thoughts on Storm's plight there.
It was devastating. I mean, I feel like Storm never really gets that. Storm's like a Superman, right? She always has to hold back on her power because it's that devastating. You know what I mean? Like she could end the game if she wants to, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm suppressing myself to appease humanity. You know what I mean? To honor Charles Xavier, to appease humanity, and it's one of those things where it's just like I'm always itching to see what is the full depth and level that she can go. But yeah, when she got lost her powers, man, I felt like, oh man, that was a blow. That was a serious blow, man. But the only benefit of her is that she's intelligent. Like she has that capability of, even though she doesn't have the superpower, she still is a good strategist. She still like has those other skills to still make something happen. So, like I said, I'm with Charles. I want to see what's coming down the line. They throw a little hint as to her powers are not actually gone.
Thank God.
So we'll see how that rolls.
So yeah, I'm with you guys on that. I definitely was. When I first saw it, I was shocked. In the beginning, I was like, they just took away Storm's powers. But then remembering that these things can all be reversed, right? They wouldn't do that to Storm because she is people when they originally came out with the list of 11 mega mutant. Why am I stumbling with this word? 11 mega level mutants. Storm was on the list, and people went crazy. People were like, "How could she not be on the list?"
Exactly.
And for anyone watching who doesn't understand what we mean by a mega level, basically it means is that their power level is at a level or a point where there's not really anything above that. They can kind of destroy a planet. Like there's not you can have people maybe as good, as powerful, but not more powerful. So that's kind of and it goes to their specific power set. So
not only that, Dre, let me just add this in really quickly as it comes to Omega level powers. These type of characters, we never and Dre, I'll let you speak towards it because I know you've dove in deeper into the comics than I have, but we've never historically seen them max out their powers. We've never seen that, right? And it goes to paint the picture of just how colossal, pun intended, I guess, how colossal their powers can be, right? How spectacular and how really globe changing those powers can be. So these are serious individuals.
So exactly. So when it comes to like Storm, like there are other mutants, other people with powers that can control, manipulate weather, but none to the level that she can. Same thing with Jean Grey. She is a mega level telepath. So no telepath or is a telekinetic is her side. I can't remember now. It's one of the other side. Telepath, telekinetic. She's like the tops there, and no one can match her. So when it comes to these types of characters, they're
Man, keep going because we've seen two others mentioned in this show, right? Magneto's another one.
Magneto's right? Another one.
And then of course
into that scene of the trial with Magneto, like that.
Yeah. Well, don't you be remiss if you don't mention Charles Xavier. He's another, right?
Oh, absolutely. But we go back to Jean because the thing is with Jean is even though she's a level Omega telepath, when she's combined with the Phoenix, that's a whole nother level. Like it's not even on the Richter scale there. Like I think she would probably, if there was a number of who would be the highest, I think that would be Jean, right? At the Phoenix, right?
With the Phoenix, yeah, she's up there. No one in the X-Men team is really going to touch her, or not really any of the villains are really going to touch her with the Phoenix. So I want to jump to episode 3, right? If you guys don't mind, all right? Episode 3, and it's Fire Made Flesh, right? That famous line from the Dark Phoenix saga, and with this episode, I love this episode. With this episode, we got to see the X-Men in action, like fighting against Madeline Pryor, the Jean Grey clone. And those of us who are aware of Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, you know that if they follow the story a little bit more, that you're going to get to the Infernal event, which is bad news for a lot of people. For some people, but Madeline Pryor is the mother of Cable, as we saw Nathan Summers, as we saw in episode 3, 2 into 3. And
wait a minute.
That's what I was asking. That's what I was asking earlier. Yes. So it's Madeline Pryor who is the child, who is the mother of Cable.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
So wait a minute. Okay. Again, this is my ignorance towards the comics, so pardon me.
Go for it.
I'm a fan. I didn't know that baby was Cable. Didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
So you guys just totally destroyed that for me. That's great. Thanks.
Well, they changed it up a little bit in the show from the books, but yes, the big. I mean,
spoiler alert.
The kid's name, yes, spoiler alert. We'll put it up on the intro. But I mean, the kid's name is Nathan Summers. Like, it's Cable's name. But so Madeline Pryor is the mother of Cable.
So can we get into something about that though?
Go for it.
So if Madeline Pryor is the mother of Cable,
mm-hmm.
with Scott, right? How would you feel if you're Jean Grey?
I was going to get into that, Mo. It's a good question because you saw at the end of the episode when they walked into the bedroom, they kind of stared at each other, and they were opposite sides of the screen, and like it was just almost like a coldness there, like an unfamiliarity, because they don't know who married them. They don't know when Gene was taken. They don't know anything at this point. So it's like, and he just had a baby with your lookalike.
But can we get to the almost the most comical part of that situation? Is
What's that?
the person who he was with, I guess, would be the longest, is the one who took off.
I think the issue there is he doesn't know which one he's been with the longest, right?
No,
Like,
but what I'm saying is the one who actually, like, put it like this: if both of them were standing in front of her, it's left to presume that Madeline Gray was the one he was with the longest because he had that timeline of actually her being pregnant, having the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, exactly, because Scott and G were been together since they were teenagers. So they were together. They were the first two X-Men. So they were dating like when they were teenagers.
Madeline is the one who has all of the history.
We don't
I
know
don't
that
know
yet.
about that.
They
I don't know about
it.
that.
No,
They haven't exposed that.
No, they got into it in episode 3. They was trying. They was like, how is it that she can remember? They had that argument. She was like, how is it that Jean can be the one, but she doesn't have any memories of you?
But remember also.
But she said that I have all the memories of you.
Remember also that while they're standing there as Madeline and as Jean, they were saying they don't know which one of them went through the Phoenix Force. They don't know which one of them is. So even between the two of them, they don't know which one and how their history intertwines.
But we do know that Madeline Gray was the one who had the baby, so it trips me out that she's the one who left.
So and one of the reasons why I think they did that was funny because in the books, one of the reasons why a lot of people hated Cyclops was that Madeline had the baby and he left her and the baby to go back to Jean.
That's what I'm saying.
He abandoned his family to go back to Jean. So a lot of people, comic book readers, had a big issue with Cyclops for doing that. So here, I think they made an effort to clean that up some and not have him leave, have her leave, and have the situation be the baby is already gone out of the picture. So it's not like that either one of them is abandoning the kid.
So how does that work? Like, if Cable was to come back, right?
Yeah.
And Madeline's gone. Like, if they came back like tomorrow and Madeline is gone, does Jean just come back and say, "Oh, you're my son," and blah blah blah? Because like the one who had the connection with him was Madeline Gray. You know what I mean? It's like even though they're the same, they're two different people. Like, I didn't have that experience with having a baby. You know what I mean? I didn't have that. So how in the world do I pick up the slack of being the mother when you have a mother who just balanced?
So what I guess what you're saying there is that she's out of the picture, but she's technically not. It doesn't really matter because there's no one in the picture. He was given up to save his life.
Yes, but we do know that down the line at some point, Cable does come back on the scene.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
as a fully grown man, like he's not worried about that. Plus, you saw she did that little thing to little mind trick to him to let him know that he's not alone, that he has a mother. So she kind of did that part. So
which one did that again? Was it Madeline?
That was Madeline. That was Madeline. So one of the things that they do is actually they change it up where like when you see Madeline's powers, they're green, and now Jean's powers are like it's that kind of pink color. So in the beginning they weren't doing that before it was all just pink, which was again a little clever way to tell the difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
Wait. And here's my biggest beef with Cyclops, right? Here's my biggest beef with Cyclops. He's a bastard. I tell you right now, he's the worst. So here you have a situation where you have a baby, you fall in love, you're like head over heels with this Madeline, right? You're head over heels with her, right?
Yep.
Even if you didn't realize that this wasn't Jean or whatever have you found a reason to be in love with Madeline, right? Y'all have a baby together, right? Now, you know that Wolverine is infatuated with Jean Grey, right?
Yeah.
Now, you could have easily been like, you know what? I have this life now with Madeline, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. No, you straight dump Madeline and jump with Jean Grey. So I'm trying to figure out, like, is that freeing Wolverine up to go and holler at
The answer is
Madeline?
no. The answer is
That's
no.
that's some grimy stuff right there. Like that's like
That's
damn,
not grimy at
you
all.
got two Jean Greys now, and it's like even then you're still on some selfish stuff, yo. Like that's grimy, yo.
Not at
Tell me that's
all.
not grimy. You know how Wolverine feels.
The whole time he thought he was with Jean. So
But you were. So what are you gonna do?
he's not gonna give up his girls now just because Wolverine wants her.
You
Like
gonna
what
get
is that?
so you gonna hoard two girls?
Obviously not. Madeline's gone and he has Jean.
That's what I'm saying. So
Like,
so is that the green light for Wolverine?
no. No. We kind of gone into a whole discussion of love triangles here today, which is not where the conversation is going to go, which is fine.
It's the questions that the people want to know. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on now.
I guess so.
Wolverine's still over to the left. Like, wow, I failed twice. You know what I mean? Like,
So let's get back on track here. So when it comes to episode 3, right? One of the things that stuck out to me a little bit in the previous episodes, but it kind of hit home with this episode was with Morph, right? And again, Morph isn't one of those guys who was categorized as a Omega level, but not that I know of. But the fact that he's able to transform into all these other mutants and use their powers to that extent,
yo,
I was like,
crazy.
he's
Would that make him the most powerful mutant?
depending on how much he can use it, and depending on if there's anyone else out there that can do it better than him. So I haven't seen any categorization of him as what level he is, but I know he's more powerful, or you want to say than Mystique, who's another person who's another mutant who kind of has that same ability.
Which one was more powerful?
But we do know that Apocalypse also has that ability. We saw that in the original series. So I don't know if in Apocalypse he's kind of that outlier, that kind of ace ace card there, when it's like he can basically do whatever he wants. Like he has the ability to kind of use whatever powers he wants. That's why he's such a problem, and he's another person who never really goes all out. If he did, like they'd be in trouble.
There's a couple things on Morph that I definitely wanted to bring up. The first is that I know he can't do telepathy. That's out of his wheelbarrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as he could dance and change and everybody else, he can't do telepathy. So that was something to note. And then secondly, I think what they gave us in episode 3 was something I really hope we were going to talk about today, which is now again, this is my ignorance to the comics. He gave some backstory as to, if anybody should know about Sinister, it's me, right? So I'm like, hey, what's going on here? Did Sinister give him his powers? I wonder what this story arc could look like. So I'm really interested to see where we go for episode 4.
So with the Sinister and Morph storyline, that's actually from the original series, the 92 series.
I don't remember that.
So it was early on, the first season, where on that remember that second episode of the series, everyone said Morph was killed. They couldn't find him, they couldn't read his mind. They said Morph was killed by the Sentinels breaking into the mutant registration building.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they bring him back, is because Sinister found him, built him back up, and
Mm.
twisted his mind against tortured him and twisted him against the X-Men. So that's kind of where that backstory lies, because Sinister, you saw he had some fear when it came to talking about Sinister, because Sinister was the guy who broke him.
Yeah.
Like so and Sinister's one of those characters too that the more I learn about Sinister and the more I've gotten to know Sinister over the years, it's like he's up there for me. Like he is not a nice person. Like, he's not a
Can we
nice guy.
talk about one of the questions I had for you on this was, can we talk a little bit about his power gauge? Where is he in the conversation of Magneto? And we talked about Jean. Is he in that realm?
Lower. So from my understanding, Sinister isn't actually a mutant. He's a mutate, which is someone who's gained powers. So I don't know. I don't want to give. I don't know if they're going to cover this in the stories in the show, but the background, the way it works is that Sinister, real name Nathaniel Essex, he was a scientist in the 1700s, and Apocalypse actually gave him his powers, and because he was doing experiments on mutants back then, because this was evolution was happening, and so he came in and was given powers by Apocalypse. So he's not on that Magneto level. He's stronger. He's a lot stronger than most of the X-Men. But he's not on that Magneto level when it comes to being like Omega level.
Gotcha.
And again, I just love how evil this guy is. For some reason. So real quick, I haven't looked through all the episodes, but I know Sinister is going to be the main villain in some of these episodes, and I'll put this for the season, I should say. But anybody you guys are looking forward to seeing in moving forward? So and just a quick caveat, I know the way they're doing the kind of the Easter eggs is by having Morph turn into these characters. So I'll allow it as far as a character that you want Morph see Morph turn into. You just want to see, but ideally a character you want to see them bring into the series at some point.
I think for me, we're talking about some of my favorite characters: Gambit, Morph. I think Iceman is still in that conversation for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's going to be a tie with the UN and Genosha, and could Iceman be on Genosha? I would like to see where that story goes as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Molly, you think of anybody?
I'm assuming maybe they might bring in maybe the Juggernaut.
Yes. I think they kind of have to. I love me some Juggernaut.
Have to bring him in. I wouldn't mind them bringing him back on the scene. I mean, he was good. Oh, so can I ask you something that's a little off script of this, right?
Wait, so can you say that? I can give who I want to see come in.
What?
Can you hold it for a second? I just want to give who I want to see come in the series.
Oh, do you think?
So I want to see. Obviously, he's coming Cable, because that's, again, like I said, he's one of my top 2 favorite X-Men characters. And I'm going to cheat here a little bit. And on the villain side, I know Cassandra Nova, Professor X's twin sister, is going to be the main character in the Deadpool movie that's coming out. But I'm hoping to see that we can see her at some point, if not this season, maybe next season. And I'm hoping that, as bad as it sounds, we get to see the mutant massacre that she caused, which was something. I think the number was 16 million mutants she killed.
What?
And yes, she was next level evil. If you ever get a chance to read up on Cassandra Nova, and I want to know how evil she is, take a look at I think it's E is for extinction. That's what it was. It was E is for extinction. The Mutant Massacre. E is for extinction is the book or the arc that she was in, where she killed off 16 million mutants.
That's
Wait,
On the
crazy.
what's her power?
Same as Professor X. She has the exact same powers as Professor X.
Telepathy.
So yeah, so that makes her that, and I think that makes her also a Omega level. But
And it's
she
interesting. So they used to always talk about Professor X that he had to rein in his powers so he didn't kill people, right? Because he could kill you just like that. Having a villain with those same powers is, woof.
all right, Maul. Back to you. I got to give my two people who I want to see come in. But
All
what
right.
you had a question?
Oh yeah, a little question. It's a little off scale of the three episodes so far, but it is one guy that I wouldn't mind seeing come into the scene
Mhm.
of 97. But I always have this question. I always ask you it for some reason because I always forget. I don't know why. But who is Nightcrawler's father?
That's an interesting question, right? Because it recently they recently changed it. And so what it was originally Azazel, if you guys remember X-Men First Class, that red that
Yeah.
red devil looking guy that
Yeah.
was in that movie. So he was Nightcrawler's father, with Mystique being his
Oh,
mother.
didn't know.
Yeah. So and he obviously he got her
But not just
skin.
her, right? He's a half brother to somebody. Who's the
I don't remember because Mystique's one of those people who's been around for a long time. That's like very very old. So I think she's had more than one child. Um, but with the new change though, they changed. It's been changed to have Mystique be his father. Saying that since she has the ability to change into men, she changes into men
what?
completely. Yes. So that's one of the recent changes. And then his mother would be a character named Destiny, who was also a mutant, and is a precog. So able to see the future a little bit. So that's the recent change. And again, it's comic book, so they're always going to change it back at some point. They're always going to retcon it back. But that's kind of been that's the two um, stories I've heard as far as his parentage there.
Wow, that's trippy.
All right. So folks, thank you for being here for a while here on Impact Cartoons. We've kind of been going through a lot of love stories and the X-Men. We talked a little bit about the action. We definitely talked a lot about the comic books. We'll be back next week with episode 4. And looking forward to that. Again, every episode has been really good so far, and for everything I've read and I've heard, that's not going to change. So there's going to be more ramp up. Before we go, fellas, you want to say anything to the peoples?
Just stay tuned, man, because I know that this 97 is going to be perhaps the best comic that they've ever had.
Chuck, you?
Yeah, definitely. I know you guys are locked in. You're following, you're subscribing to X-Men 97. Do the same thing for Impact Cartoons.
Absolutely. As always, please like, subscribe, and comment. Boom, boom, boom. I'll put it up somewhere. All right. See you all later.